There's a very interesting conversation going around right now in the rap community, and it all started from Punch from TDE, who tweeted, "Wait, who are the current superstars in rap post Kendrick, Cole, Drake, and Nicki?" And this was tweeted on February 21st, and it had the whole community in sort of a frenzy because people were spitting out different names, but there's not that consistent list. Like, I feel as if there's sort of like that place that's for the grabbing right now, and I feel as if we're also in not a weird time, but sort of like a gray area for who has that, superstar status, because there's a lot of people with commercial success, but who really has the stature of those four artists? Because the ones that he had mentioned, Kendrick, Cole, Drake, and Nicki, had the commercial success. They had the influence. They had the projects to back it up. They have the longevity. So looking forward, what do you think makes a superstar? And, get into your definition of this, because everyone sort of has their own, let's say, version of what a superstar in rap may be.
Absolutely. And let us know in the comments as well, guys, what makes a superstar for you? Because I feel like a lot of people are going to take this conversation and turn it into, oh, these are my favorite artists, or these are the artists that I think have the most potential in the rap game. But I think it has to be way more than that. I think it has to be based on the influence an artist has over the consumer. I think it has to be based on also longevity and maintaining that streak of popularity for years to come. And more than anything else, I think what makes a superstar is transcending hip-hop and, getting your foot through the door within hip-hop, but then breaking out in terms of doing endorsement deals, in terms of being on TV, in film, the way that we saw artists like Drake and Kendrick do, and Cole as well, and so many others in the 2010s. But to me, when I think of today's day and age, there's less of those culturally iconic moments. For example, if you take it back to 2015, how Kendrick Lamar literally transcended hip-hop because he put out the song All Right, and he literally became attached to a moment in history because that song ended up being the anthem for so many police brutality protests, and the way that he unified people and made it way more meaningful than just a song, to me, that was mind-blowing. The same way that In the Club by 50 Cent ended up being the party anthem 20 years later for everybody's fucking birthday bashes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Even Drake's run in 2018 with having smash hit after smash hit after smash hit and having one of the most commercially successful years in hip-hop was impressive. Even Nicki coming through and breaking so many different barriers, not only for the female lane, but for, the rap lane as a whole, and being so commercially successful in that. And then Cole taking lyricism and bringing it to a whole different level and sort of having the mainstream gravitate towards him and being able to put up numbers that are over 300,000 copies first week. So, okay, now that we've established this, right, we understand what the conversation holds.
Yeah.
Who do you think is in that conversation at the current moment? So let's exclude Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole, and Nicki, just for the sake of the conversation.
Yeah.
And let's have a conversation on who is currently in the game right now and who could really do this.
Listen,
who do you think is the next superstar?
What's interesting is that if you had asked me this question, let's say last summer, I would have had a very different answer than I do now. Because if you would have asked me last summer, I would have said two names. I would have said Travis Scott and I would have said Roddy Ricch, okay? So I want to talk about Travis Scott first of all. Every time within the last couple of years that I would turn my head, Travis Scott would pop up in every fucking facet of the entertainment industry, all right? So if it were to be his deal with Fortnite, his deal with Nike, him having his own fucking meal at McDonald's, he was literally the king of endorsement deals in hip-hop, and musically, he was getting these diamond songs. He was putting up over 500,000 copies first week with Astroworld, and he literally became a figure that was, that had transcended hip-hop. And now, after the Astroworld incident, I don't know if a portion of his fan base is dissolved. I don't know if these brands are still going to want to work with him. So I can't say if he'll have that longevity in the game. I hope that he does. I hope so, but I'm kind of more on the unsure side of things now.
I know. It's kind of more of a gray area right now with Travis Scott, but I still think he's going to come through and still do everything because if you look at it, I mean, those endorsement deals were massive and he was going to have a massive rollout. I still think he will this year. But the Travis conversation is interesting because I feel as if he was already established as a superstar before we're even having this conversation,
he need
right?
Longevity though, right?
But he has...
During that time, he was a superstar.
During that time.
Sure.
Okay, so let's say from 2017 to 2021, all right? Let's say from that's
2018 and on.
Okay,
I think
so 3
Astroworld
years.
broke it.
Okay, so let's say 3 years of that solid fucking consistency where he's putting up diamond rap songs, all of those endorsements. his name's in that conversation right now. And I think that you can't even put it out because the incident happened and obviously a lot of people felt a certain type of way about it. But we'll have to see about the next album, and we'll have to see, the commercial success. We'll have to see if he gets back those endorsement deals and whatever else happens, because he is still in the conversation.
Yeah.
I think that it is in a more of a gray area right now, but it still isn't like in a total gray area for me right now.
I feel you.
Another one is Roddy Ricch, okay? Because please excuse me for being antisocial was a massive debut. That was fucking huge. And it was crazy because throughout the trap scene, who really had a debut like Roddy Ricch? I mean, having a song right now that is the Box Diamond. Is it officially certified
The
diamond?
box is diamond, yeah.
You have a diamond song on your fucking debut. That is extremely hard to do. Not only that, but first week sales were fantastic. He had the whole West Coast hip hop scene on his back as well because he was going to be that forefront runner. So Live Life Fast obviously maybe put it a little dent in the armor right now, but to completely take him out of this conversation, I think is unreasonable at this point, because you had also put out a tweet about writing off artists off of putting out one bad album or whatever it is, or an album that doesn't hit as hard. And this is the situation with Roddy Ricch. He literally had to leave social media because the fans were at his neck. Oh, what is this? What is that? That's horrible. I mean, listen, you guys know how we feel about the album. We don't think it's great whatsoever, but to look at someone's talent and then say like, oh, okay, this guy has no more potential, this guy has no more room for improvement is fucking
It's
absurd.
bullshit, man. Yeah.
So what do you think Roddy Ricch needs to do maybe to get back more into this conversation? Because in my opinion, he's still in the fucking race,
Yeah.
He's still doing numbers on this.
To me, he didn't lose any of the potential that he had, and he's just as talented as I thought that he was before Live Life Fast had dropped. And listen, we were brutally honest in our review, and you guys could actually check it out if you haven't already. But speaking on Roddy Ricch at this point, I just feel like even though he's had all these smash hits, he's way more than just numbers. He speaks to people on a soulful level, and that's because of how unique his voice is. It's so raw, it's very gospel-like, and I think that not only could he sing really well, but he is also a great rapper, so he has that duality which makes him play in more different lanes. Like he can go and make an R&B song if he wants, something more melodic, or he can make a West Coast banger. So I think Roddy Ricch has a lot working in his favor, and I personally think that he could still be the leader of this new generation.
That's
bro.
facts. Oh,
he
that's
really
absolutely
could
facts.
be,
No,
but
for sure.
someone else that could be a leader in this generation who might reach that superstar level is Jack Harlow.
That's
so
facts.
Let's talk about Harlow and how he's just been releasing slapper after slapper, and I just think that what's cool about Harlow is that even though he has the ability to make hits and make songs that everybody like unanimously seems to enjoy, I also feel like he has a really likable personality because he kind of has a lot of charisma. He has that laid back vibe, and I just think that people are really buying into his persona. So do you think that plays a big role in Jack Harlow's chances of being a superstar?
It played into Drake's favor. Because example, right? Like how many ladies fell in love with Drake after he was dropping those R&B tracks, and how many ladies right now are into Jack Harlow's music for whatever reason? I mean, you guys could put that down in the comment section. But I mean, looking at Jack Harlow, it is such a fascinating career to be watching right now, because even after What's Poppin', I mean, a lot of people wrote him off. A lot of people said, oh, this is going to be like a one-time hit. Comes back with Tyler Hero. Now he has Nail Tech. Like, these are songs that are absolutely fucking hitting, and at the moment he has one of the biggest songs in the country. So Jack Harlow has the ability to make hits. He's proven it. He has the commercial success. He has the likability. And I think that when you're looking at a guy that could, not only, win over the rap fans and be a sort of standout within the community, but also has that mainstream appeal and has that likability from, the ladies, and has that whole romantic vibe to him as well, that goes a very long way in hip hop. And we've seen it time and time after again with a lot of hip-hop artists over the past couple of years. So example, going back to Drake, a lot of people feel as if Jack Harlow right now has that same cadence, has that sort of, smooth flow that is extremely easy to understand and that, a lot of people could relate to. Plus, I also feel as if that when you look at Jack Harlow, he makes content that's easy to consume. I mean, it could be consumed by any sort of demographic and people will love it. Not only that, but his production choices are fantastic because he'll also make a song that could blow up on TikTok. He could have something that charts. And that's a big thing for Jack Harlow, is that I feel as if he has the marketability factor.
For sure.
So where do you think Jack Harlow goes with his career now? Because the singles are great. I enjoyed his last release. I believe it was in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So where do you think he goes now, and how do you think he can, continues this momentum? Because it's a very interesting career to be watching.
Yeah, it's really interesting just because I feel like Jack Harlow is a perfect artist to kind of put into this conversation, because as much as he has huge success with all these hit singles, his first debut album, that's what they all say, didn't put up like a crazy amount of numbers first week, which I get it. It was still kind of his first year in popping off, so I do expect to see those numbers improve with the next album. But I just feel like, in terms of all the artists that we're mentioning, like this is at least the way that I feel. To me, no up-and-coming artist or no artist that's really been making a name for themselves in recent years is a sure bet. To me, if you want to really ask me someone that could reach that Drake, Cole, Kendrick status, I don't think we've seen that artist come up yet. I don't think that he's known to us.
But I think that's what's so interesting about this whole conversation is that it's right now in a gray area. And I also think that if you would have maybe looked back at, a couple of years, there would have maybe been some more sure answers for this type of conversation. But at the moment, I feel as if when you look at it, those three guys are solidified. So even if you're looking at Jack Harlow's monthly listeners on Spotify, right, then obviously like this doesn't hold much merit, but whatever. I guess for the sake of statistics, if there is something to look at, we'll go for the monthly listeners. 41.7 million monthly listeners right now. He is currently in the top 10 rappers with the most monthly listeners on Spotify, and he actually just passed Kendrick Lamar, Gunna, The Baby, Future, and Juice WRLD. So that's incredible. I mean, Nail Tech is doing fantastic, and once you start getting into like those higher millions and you start getting towards that lane, it's very impressive.
Yeah.
And if he could start cracking the 50s, that's on par with Kanye West and Drake now. So I could see it happening. I'm telling you right now.
He's got the KFC deal as well, man. That's pretty cool.
He's getting the endorsements too. He has the New Balance endorsement as well.
Yeah.
Like Jack Harlow is doing serious moves. So I think that's my favorite one to come up right now. But I think a sleeper pick
Baby Keem, is that where you're
Baby
going?
Keem as well, because the way that Kendrick is grooming Baby Keem is very interesting because going forward with the whole PG Line Collective, I think that it's going to become a very dominant force within not only hip-hop, but music as a whole. And I think that when you look at who's going to be that poster child for PG Lang, it will be Baby Keem. And, the Melodic Blue was commercially successful. You had songs that ended up having good commercial success like Miss Call. So do you think Baby Keem's quirkiness and the sort of unique style that he brings to the table will allow him to be maybe, I would say, more diverse, but also more eye-grabbing than a lot of artists
Make him
that
stand out compared
Exactly.
to the rest, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've spoken about a lot before. And listen, in terms of Baby Keem and where I see him going in the future, I think the fact that he is so unique and has these quirky cadences and flows will play in his favor, because nowadays there's so many artists that are up and coming that are trying to emulate other styles. But with Baby Keem, he's so unique, and that'll make him stand out from the rest of the crowd. And not only that, but I feel like with Baby Keem going into his music, there's a lot of unpredictability. There's a lot of mystique behind his persona and his music. And again, I think that really intrigues people to go into every new song, every new project. So Baby Keem is definitely in that conversation. Again, would I put my money on it? Would I gamble and say I think he'll 100% be one of the superstars in rap for the 2020s decade? I don't feel sure about him, or anyone for that matter, because there's nothing guaranteed. But Cardi B is someone that I think could get that spot, just because after Invasion of Privacy came out,
How many, 11 songs right
11 songs out of the 13 on that track list, guys, went platinum. 2 diamond songs from that album. Not only that, but if you look at Cardi B, I think that she's one of the most adored personalities within the whole game. And I think that's the major switch from the 2010s decade to the 2020s. Because in Cardi B's respect, I would say that although she kind of had a personality before going into music with being featured on Love and Hip Hop and being, a famous personality through Vine and Instagram, without what she did musically, she would nowhere near have the impact that she does now. So I do say that she got her foot through the door with that, but her personality is really what's winning people over. So I feel like the major switch from the 2010s to now is that personality means way more, because
I'm actually going to counter you on that, actually, because I agree that her personality plays a lot into her commercial success. But if you look at the way that she's implementing Latin rap into
I'm not
mainstream,
saying her specifically. I'm saying like the whole superstar conversation.
Okay, but I think what Cardi B does so well though is bringing in that Latin rap game into an American market, and a lot of people seem to like it as well. She had a collaboration with Bad Bunny that did fucking wonders, and that ended up doing crazy numbers. Also, that she's the type of artist that could also hang with some pop stars as well. Like Maroon 5. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's what I think she's so good at. Another conversation I want to have is with Lil Baby, because right now, I mean, he is one of the most commercially successful artists in the industry at the moment. He popped off in the 2020 decade. He seems to have everyone on, on his backs, especially this new generation. When it comes to his rapping abilities, he's fantastic. So do you think Lil Baby has that stamina to keep going with this? Because My Turn was commercially successful. The Voice of the Heroes was commercially successful. He has songs that are doing great numbers. Do you think he has that, stamina to keep going? Because I think he personally does, at least on my end.
Yeah.
For the Atlanta trap scene at that.
If you look at this decade, no one has more platinum songs than Lil Baby, which is super impressive. And My Turn did amazing numbers. And I just think that Lil Baby is probably the most sought out featured artist in the game right now, because people know the energy that he brings to a song. And not only that, but Lil Baby could make songs that have more of that commercial appeal and that are maybe less heavy on the message. But then you have Lil Baby being nominated for the Bigger Picture, where he was speaking on police brutality and he was speaking on some shit with some actual substance. So that was super refreshing to see that he could play in any lane and in any subgenre that he wants to. So Lil Baby is maybe the one that is the most obvious answer, I would say.
Yeah.
But again, are any of these 100% locked in? Because this takes me to another one of Punch's tweets, and he said this: "Nothing is sustainable. Superstars are based off of moments that last. Nothing lasts more than 2 days now." And I think this is really true, because I feel like we're on to the next thing so quickly, and that's because of our attention span, which is kind of being molded by the mediums of content that we consume. If you look at TikToks, if you look at YouTube Shorts, we're getting so much content in such a short amount of time that we're always looking for the next thing to catch our interest. And I feel like that's the same thing with music and how songs become viral on TikTok, but then a year later, nobody's really talking about them anymore. And it's the same thing with just, us kind of maybe being desensitized to a lot of shit that's going on in the world and not attaching music to worldly events. So do you feel like that might be an issue for a lot of these artists in the conversation, is that they maybe won't have the longevity? Because it might be.
This is my whole take with that. I think that, yes, it's obviously harder to sustain that, but I think it just changes the game. I mean, look at what rappers, an example. So, look at maybe, Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick. They came up in a different time than when it was Jay-Z, Eminem, and Lil Wayne. And people were having this same conversation back in 2010. Who's going to have this gray area? Who's going to come up and really take everything by storm? And there wasn't a sure answer back then. I mean, there's never a sure answer until you see someone who puts his foot through that fucking door, or she puts her foot through that fucking door and makes a big impact. And I think right now, it just has to be a switch in tactics. I mean, if you look at it, people could be having these conversations for days. I mean, you could even throw Lil Durk into this conversation for how commercially successful he's been, especially in the 2020 decade. But at this moment in time, I think that whoever's going to be able to beat that curb, whoever's going to be able to, make those moments that last, the thing that, people are going to have to, be forced to stop and stare, those are going to be the ones that are going to be able to push forward, because that's what you need right now. You need someone who's going to be able to perform better than everyone else. So, guys, this is an extremely interesting conversation. Let me know your takes in the comments, because there is no sure answer to this. It's always a gray area when talking about it, but mark my words, we will see someone come out in the 2020 decade and carry this new generation. And forever says there won't be, explain why. What's your take on that? Do you think it's maybe too much, music has been released? Is it the way that we're consuming it? Let us know in the comment section. And guys, we're going to be doing a load of content on NFR podcast for the next year, 2 years. Guarantee longevity from us, all right? So please hit the subscribe button. We appreciate you for watching this, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks for watching the full video. And if you're new to NFR, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as we'll be keeping you guys updated with the latest album releases in terms of update videos, album reviews, and our own original series on the weekly. And we also have our Patreon plan available in the description below, where you can access weekly bonus content and also access to our Discord. So be sure to check out all of that, and we'll catch you in the next one.